Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Think Tank Sports. Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen. Check us out on the socials: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Listen to us on Spotify for podcasters or wherever you get your podcasts. We are out there on all of them for you to digest, and watch us on YouTube as we continue to do that as well. You see me in my Bills garb, but we are on the night here Thursday with the NFL draft. I thought I'd wear some Bills gear. No, this is not an NFL draft podcast. We will go heavy on a recap after the weekend so that we can really digest everything and give you our thoughts on our teams and the big moves and shakes and all that kind of stuff. No, this is NBA playoff basketball talk. The playoffs have had some really, really good games, some really compelling storylines. And so we figure we dig into that as, we're, waist deep in NBA playoffs at this point, even though it's early and it's still the first round. But we're excited. There's lots of good things going on. And of course, I can't do this by myself, or choose not to do this by myself. I got Mike on the other side there. Mike, how the heck are you, buddy?
Doing good, buddy. Yeah, we're definitely knee deep, waist deep, ankle deep. I don't know, armpit deep in the playoffs. It's been nice and thick and nasty. Had some rivalries bubble up and bubble over. We've had some last second shots, and the hero, Jimmy Butler solidified himself as an all-time playoff great.
Oh yeah.
Those kinds of things have happened already. As poor as I thought the regular season was, this first round has been a lot of fun, and we're seeing these conference semifinal matchups come to fruition here. And either way, they all start next Monday. So we're going to have all of these things come to a conclusion this weekend, which is great. But I guess we have to start with the elimination of the defending champs, right? The Milwaukee Bucks, and losing in 5 games to a Miami Heat team that some thought weren't even going to make a play in, and we're in danger late in the season of not even making the play-in round.
And we had them buried,
right?
And I mean, I think most people did.
No, we were, questioning whether, the roster had finally caught up and, they just can't shoot their way out of it and all these things. And Jimmy Butler, of course, the 56 points 2 games ago, 98 in 2 games he scores to take his team over the top and beat a Milwaukee Bucks team that really didn't show any teeth, any fight. And then when you see Giannis's press conference, I know this is your old man on the porch segment of the program, but show a little fight, show a little upset. The reporter asked him how it felt to get out of the first round after winning a championship last year, and he went on this long thing about you don't get a promotion every year in your job, and not everything can be a win, and I'm happy with where I'm at in my career and that kind of thing, and that's good perspective 2-3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
But right out of the locker room, 20 minutes, 15 minutes after losing the final game, I want to see some fire from my superstar. I guess that's me, Dave. What do you think about that, or this series in general?
Yeah, it's interesting. His statement, Giannis, about this, this season isn't a failure. And the only thing that I liked that he said was, Michael Jordan played 15 years and won 6 titles. So were the other 9 years failures? And
Michael Jordan never went out in the first round after 5 games.
Right. I liked the framing of it. Right. He had, I think,
I think the perspective is healthy ultimately for him as a superstar.
Yes.
And but I'm talking about the timing of it.
That piece, I got, but the fact that he couldn't or wouldn't, own up to the fact that, this is, Mike, this is one of the biggest upsets in the history of the NBA playoffs, for many reasons that we'll get into. to say that the season's not a failure when you are more than ever in sports and in the NBA measured on titles and postseason success, to come in against the 8 seed, as you mentioned, the number 1 seed, the team with the best record in the NBA all year long, and you win 1 game,
right?
1 game,
right?
And but this is what happens, or can happen. And I think there's some things to be talked about as far as how Jimmy Butler was defended, but the guy played hero ball and just destroyed the Bucks, in these last 2 games. But back to Giannis. Yeah,
he did have 36 points and 20 rebounds in elimination.
Sure,
game.
And he had a triple double in game 4.
Right. So what more could he have done? I understand that. I'm just saying you're tone deaf and you're almost insulting to the fanatics, the fans of your team.
Yeah.
To come out 10 minutes, 15 minutes after the game ends that eliminates you in such an embarrassing fashion.
Sure.
And not be aggravated by
it. Just come out and say we sucked, right? So you look at, and we'll talk about
they kicked our butt. Jimmy Butler owns me right now.
Right.
But I'm going to get in the gym and get better, and we'll make some adjustments and come back.
Yeah, and you look at,
it's that simple.
Very quickly, LeBron James here in game 5 against a really game Sacramento team, and he plays terrible. And what does he say? Comes out, he's like, I play terrible.
Right.
I played good on defense, but offensively I was awful. I got to be better. We'll be better.
Right.
Now, I mean, LeBron James has more experience.
Memphis, you said Sacramento.
I
know what you meant.
I said it, and I was like, they're not playing Sacramento. They're playing Memphis. They're not playing the Sacramento Queens. But that's the kind of example, I think, Mike, of what you're trying to say is Giannis. Come on, dude.
Right. That's all I'm saying. Come on.
Yeah.
Dude. But he's earned the right, with the championship now. Now, does he need for his legacy to come back and win another one fairly soon, next couple of years? Absolutely, in my opinion.
Yes. But that's
another discussion for another podcast. And then so staying in the East, speaking of heartbreak, Dave, Trae Young, just after I just hammered him on the last podcast about
did you ever
player and not sure showing up for the Hawks and taking too many shots, and all that was true, except the too many shots happened to go in here in the fourth quarter, where the Celtics just decided
Trae
to really blow it in the end. Between Marcus Smart fouls him on the possession before he hits the big shot, fairly easy foul call, and he knocks down the
foul
free
shots,
throws, and then the Celtics come down, don't get a bucket, and then as soon as Jaylen Brown took a step back, even though it was only a stride past the center court logo, I'm like, ball's going up, and sure enough, it did, and it went in. And he does his little ice cold celebration, rightfully so. It was a dagger. The Hawks are turning into the Portland Trailblazers, though, to me. Damian Lillard's, making big shots and winning occasional games for them like Trae Young is, but really they're not going to really make a dent moving forward. They're giving my Celtics more than we want to handle, especially with Philadelphia, already winning their series and resting, waiting for us on Monday. So I wanted, speaking of those laundry and outfits earlier, Dave, did want to wear my full Celtics fit tonight, but couldn't find the t-shirt. So trust me, I have the shorts on. We'll spare the gratuitous crotch shot for
for
sure. All the happily married women out there.
Who were clawing and scratching at your image and virtual door to get in.
I don't know why their computer screen's all wet, but I'm happy about it.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Anyways, Mike, it's interesting. I think I had mentioned this the last podcast that I had heard Kevin Lockery talking, and he said, watch out for the Hawks, right? They're going to give the Celtics some problems. And then it didn't look like that was going to be the case, but They've won 2 games here. Now they've got game 6 tonight in Atlanta. I mean, they are positioned, Mike, to really do some damage here. What's your gut feeling about the game tonight?
Oh, I think we're going to take care of business. I think that Joe Mazzulla got a little bit of rookie coach vibes at the end of that game the other night, and you saw he brought Blake Griffin in with like 7 minutes left, and we were only up 8, and just getting a little too cute with those kind of things. Hauser played a lot more minutes than he has been, and it just really signified a deep breath being taken by the entire coaching staff, and it was a couple of minutes too early in the game. We were in control of the game, and when he did that, it just felt like, the door is open. And a more experienced head coach probably doesn't make that move going forward. So that being said, I'm feeling good about tonight. I think they're going to come out. They don't want, Tatum and Brown and the boys aren't going to want the other teams wrapping up their series to think that they're going to struggle. Ultimately, it's the Celtics are going to win the series. It's just a matter of how much they want to toy around, I guess. But I fully expect tonight to be a statement win by the Celtics.
Yep, and Celtics favored by 7. That game is 8:30 p.m. on TNT. If you're looking,
only game tonight, first time in a while. It's only one game NBA wise.
Yes, very, very strange in the scheduling. But, that happens because you have a couple of series that, finished up a little bit earlier
right.
as far as things go. Mike, you mentioned the Sixers. They moved on, little chippy in their series. Certainly there against Brooklyn, but they sweep. And the big storyline there is Joel Embiid. How much is he hurt? They wrap their series up on Saturday. They're going to have a full week plus of rest. So kudos to the Sixers for doing what they needed to do. As far as that goes,
the only thing that came out of this series that'll probably last with me going forward is, unfortunately for him, one of the best negative nicknames for an opposing player. The Philly fans started calling Spencer Dinwiddie Spencer Shitwoody. Apologize to the family, aspect of the program. But yes, that feels like every time I see him going forward. Although I like him, I think he's scrappy and overachieving for his career. That's a nickname that'll probably stick going forward.
Yeah.
Other than that, like you said, not much.
Unfortunately,
yeah, that's a great one. But yeah, Philly, it's all about Embiid's health, and they're in. I'm under no delusion about what Philly and Boston's going to look like. Assuming it happens there in the East. So, they're good to have time off and take care of their opponent, and the chippiness comes from familiarity for sure. And, we see that a lot, especially in the middle of these series, and then cooler heads prevail because it's winning time and people don't want to get, suspended or whatever. But let's go out west, buddy. Oh, I guess we got to talk about the Knickerbockers.
We absolutely have to talk about.
So we have the reunited, and it feels so good. 1994 series of the Heat and the Knicks, and there'll be plenty of videos of Jeff Van Gundy hanging off Alonzo Mourning's thigh.
Yeah, that was 1998, that particular one.
Right.
My goodness. I went back and watched that this week.
94 was the OJ series?
Yes,
the one where
in the
Knicks
finals
against
Houston
the
Rockets.
In the final.
Yes,
right.
Yes.
But they beat the Heat the series before to get there.
I believe so. Yep. And then, so the 90s was marked particularly for the Knicks and the Heat with a lot of, you think about Allen Houston's shot in Game 5 in Miami, knocking them off, just a lot of things. But that Jeff Van Gundy, it's a Game 4 of a 5-game playoff series with 10 seconds to go, and Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson just get into it. Yeah. And here's Jeff Van Gundy with way more he didn't have that much hair then, but he's got way much more hair than he does now. Comes running out there and just gets, I don't know what he's trying to do, and just ends up around Alonzo Mourning's leg. And oh God, it is
too funny.
Oh, it is hilarious. If you haven't gone and watched that, you should. It's
and out of all that melee, I think one technical foul came out of it. That's what it used to take to get a tech back in the day.
Yeah.
In the NBA. Now everybody would be thrown out, and there'd be suspensions, and it would be the worst thing in history. It would be
sure.
Malice in the Palace too. Yeah.
Right. And going into game 5 with, Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson suspended, and perhaps Jeff Van Gundy, suspended.
Right. No, it would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Right.
That kind of stuff didn't happen back then, as far
as
that
goes.
That's
why the Kings coming off the bench versus the Lakers was such a huge story, because nobody got suspended for that back then. And then, they lose their best players and it's all over. But I digress. We digress. That was NBA history corner here.
Yeah.
These modern Knicks, Dave. So blessing in disguise with Julius Randle's ankles beat up, and he doesn't handle the ball as much. You see Jalen Brunson do a masterful job playing point guard and distributing, hitting big shots. Josh Hart, big shots. JT Barrett, having a nice series.
And RJ Barrett, his brother.
Both of them having a great series. Obi Toppin is exciting dunker, Mitchell Robinson in the middles. They have some fun things to watch for sure. So they take out a Cavaliers team that was just too thin. I think, starting five for starting five, they probably matched up pretty well, but they'll be back. Cleveland will, especially with Donovan Mitchell and the core they have there. But the Knickerbockers move on, and people are celebrating in the streets for the first time in a while in New York City, buddy. What do you think with the Knicks and Heat coming up? What does it look like to you?
Yeah, and it's interesting. So the Knicks win their first series since 2013. Now, admitted, haven't played in a lot of the playoffs during that time, but regardless, you're talking about 10 years. Kudos to them. They will have home court in the second round, which will be very interesting. The crowds in the 2 games in Madison Square Garden were, typical Madison Square Garden, heavy, crazy, Knick crowds. So that will play a role. Mike, my question is, and my debate as the Heat won last night is thinking, who is guarding Jimmy Butler? Who on the Knicks is going to guard Jimmy Butler?
Great question. Well, they probably will run a couple of different people out of it. You gotta think.
You would think, and
it's gotta be Barrett's start, right?
Barrett's playing a guard position. I mean, Jimmy Butler's small
2-3
forward. So, is that, I started looking at the roster. Like, I mean, you're going to put Julius Randle on him? No,
because you need him offensively. So Mitchell Robinson,
Josh Hart.
Yeah, Josh Hart. I don't know if he can handle him down low.
Right. And so
you're going to run Mitchell Robinson and Harvenstein and Hart and all kinds of people.
Maybe Obi Toppin a little bit.
Maybe Obi Toppin. Yep. There's probably somebody we're missing on the roster. Quickly maybe.
Quickly. I mean, he's
quickness wise, he's thin, taller than he is thin.
He's so thin. And
Butler that's manhandle him. You're right.
Right. And so that's for me. Now, again, is Jimmy Butler going to continue this, otherworldly performances? I mean, if he does, I don't think the Knicks have anybody that can guard him.
No, I know. In the way Duncan Robinson and those guys are shooting, it's going to be scary. Now, they did lose Oladipo as well. Miami did for the series or for the season, but he wasn't playing a ton to begin with.
No, but he's experienced.
Right. Another cog off the bench that they won't have in the wheel, but Spoelstra and the boys will have a plan for sure. So let me ask you this, Dave. First game in MSG, Pat Riley comes in his 3-piece suit, his gray hair slicked back, looking tight and right, like he keeps it all the time, and walks through that tunnel. What's the crowd's reaction? First sight of Pat Riley 2023.
Well, I was going to say Charles Oakley reaches out and punches him, but Charles
No.
Oakley's not allowed to be in the Madison Square
Denied.
Garden. So,
Wow.
I think in a typical New York way, a smattering of cheers and boos for Pat Riley, who,
Okay.
at one point was a Knicks coach and, played
Kind
high
of
school.
left them in the middle of the night to go to Miami, though, and really
Yeah.
felt like a betrayal to Knicks fans at the time. You understand it now, and certainly in his retirement years, and the role he has with Miami, he would never be allowed to have in New York. So,
well,
we get it ultimately, but.
And maybe, there's not a big hubbub about it because it's been a while since the Knicks have been in the playoffs, and you've got a very different kind of crowd there, different age and all of that. I would think some of the traditional Knicks fans, that's where you'll hear the boos from.
Yeah, you gotta remember the kids like 22 years and younger have never seen a successful Knicks season.
Yep.
Like really successful, you know what I mean? So
right. Yeah.
that like that's a good point. The time itself might have maybe he should get some respect. I understand.
Mhm.
I think I would probably boo him for 30 seconds because of what the ending looked like.
Yeah.
But now that we understand Dolan a little better, it's not that unreasonable.
Right.
And then give some respect for his longevity and what he's done for multiple franchises now. Let's go west, buddy. What say you about your Los Angeles Lakers and the Memphis Grizzlies turning out to be the second best series, I think, here in the first round?
Yeah, I think the Lakers have played very well. I didn't like the effort in Game 5. They certainly, they gave up a 26-2 run at one point,
right.
Third quarter into the fourth. Didn't start out very good. LeBron taking a lot of threes. And again, I mentioned he came out and said, I sucked. I played terrible. You're right.
That's true.
He did. Considering how he has played the last, he missed a lot of games down the stretch, but the last,
since he's been back, though,
he's certainly took command in Game 4, and obviously got the basket to get to overtime and helped there. But he's played that stepped back role a little bit, which honestly, as we've talked about, I think has really helped the Lakers. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here in Game 6. They're going to be at home. I really am hoping for a very good performance out of them. I think, Anthony Davis has played very well. They just, I think they're in a spot to win and do well. I would be concerned if they lose Game 6 and have to go back to Memphis for Game 7. You certainly saw, Ja Morant, came back and, he
made a statement, really.
He made a statement. I mean, he was early. Was not horrible. I mean, he's 31 points and, took 26 shots, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, just 2 turnovers, with the issues with his hand. So Ja Morant seems to be fine. And so, the chance of not having a fully healthy Ja Morant is out the window at this point.
Do you think Steven Adams or somebody on that team should pull Dillon Brooks aside and say, listen, MFer, stop shooting the basketball. You want to be this defensive stopper, then be the defensive stopper. Get rebounds, take your shots when they come organically. But this is the, third game in a row. He's 3 for 15 from the field, 2 for 10 from 3. Why would he ever take a 3-point shot? It reminds me of Marcus Smart's first 3 years in the league for Boston. It's like, no. And then occasionally he'd say yes, because it would go in. But really, any 3-pointer, and especially any time late in the clock or late in the game, you just did not want the ball in his hand. And I would think Memphis's team would be much better if he just took that 10% extra he's trying on offense and applied it to his defense and be, the stopper. I mean, big tough guy. Oh, you don't get my respect unless you put 40 on me. You might as well say 100, dude.
Yeah.
Bleep you,
Yeah. 2
and
rebounds in this game, no assists, no steals, no blocks.
and that gets me, where I'm going with LeBron James, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest LeBron James fan, but we get caught up in sports society about having this argument about MJ and LeBron and who's the best. We shouldn't diminish what we're watching LeBron James be and do at 38 years old. The mileage he has on his legs, 18 years old in the league, in the playoffs, most, if not, a large percentage of those years in playoff basketball, played international basketball, has done it all for a long time, high stress situations, and continues, to come out and, they were making the goat noises after his,
22.22 rebound, 20 rebounds. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully so. And so, that's what, Dylan Brooks really pisses me off because there's no respect. You want to be a tough guy and you want to show how good you are defensively, but he wants to talk about before he does it, and there's just no respect for what LeBron James has done for him, as a player, the pocketbooks he opened up, in the league and where the salary cap is going and all that stuff, but Dylan Brooks just wants to be a paper tough guy. So just the lack of respect for your elders, if you will, bothers me. And LeBron James does deserve all the respect we can give him aside from greatest player of all time. But that doesn't mean he shouldn't get, his just desserts here.
Oh, sure. Of course. I mean, he's right up there. I mean, you want to talk about the greatest players of all time. You cannot do that without including LeBron James.
Right.
You can debate where he is in that greatest player of all time, but you cannot debate. Right. You cannot debate that his name is there. That being said, we need to see, a step up in Game 6, and I think we will. I would be very surprised if LeBron James goes 1 for 9 on 3-pointers in Game 6, like he did in Game 5. He just does not need to shoot that many threes. Some of them were 24, 26 feet. He doesn't need to be doing that. And he has not shot well.
They need an Anthony Davis game where he needs to be the star of the game offensively and really put away, this Grizzly team that, is feisty for sure. And they're not going to quit, nor should they.
Nope.
I'm not saying they need to lay down in front of LeBron and beg his forgiveness.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Just a little bit of lip service. But anyway, great series. The other one, Dave, Warriors Kings.
Oh my gosh,
has turned into just a tremendous series.
Yeah.
Let's talk about 2 games ago where the Warriors are ahead and just make some stupid mistakes by Steph Curry down the stretch where he has his Chris Webber moment, calls a timeout they don't have. And then even worse, he comes down with like 10, 12 seconds left on the shot clock at the end of the game, takes a floater in the middle of the lane and misses it.
Yeah.
So gives Sacramento an opportunity to set up the last shot down to have a nice play to give Harrison Barnes a contested 3-pointer, but open, NBA open for sure. And it just clanks off the side. And I was wondering going in who the Kings would have as their alpha closer. And I think it's supposed to be De'Aaron Fox, Dave.
But absolutely.
His hand was pretty beat up going into that scenario. Like he almost even wasn't going to play last night. So his hand was pretty damaged. So they used him as a decoy and set up Harrison Barnes, who I guess would be your next logical pick when you're looking at who's going to be, Sabonis really hasn't had the playoff series where he's dominating his defender. And then the other guys, are just maybe half a step below what Harrison Barnes can do in the clutch. So I felt bad for him, Barnes, because he's leaned 6-7 years in different rosters to get because there's that spot to be able to win a game for his team in the playoffs, and it just didn't go in. It was just a good shot that didn't go in. What did you think of that game and Steph Curry's blunders in particular, or what the Kings were doing?
Yeah, I mean the lack of timeouts and the lack of knowledge of that. I mean,
right,
it's just inexcusable. And the game was over at that point. You know, I mean,
right.
literally, they were ahead. The game's over. You know, as far as that goes.
Right, he opens the door for a scenario that shouldn't exist.
Yeah, no,
right.
It should have been it. You know, you dribble around, you pass it, or you get fouled or whatever, and instead he just kind of is on the sidelines and then just gets double teamed and calls timeout.
Right.
So inexcusable from that perspective. As far as Sacramento, it's definitely De'Aaron Fox. I would like to see Malik Monk get some better opportunities there.
Okay.
Harrison Barnes was 3 for 11 in this game. This is the game 4. Now he had what I thought, and the announcers said too, and just for the Kings in general, a rushed 3-point shot on the previous possession, right, which they didn't need to take right away. And so, you know, he had 2 shots. You know, in fairness, though, De'Aaron Fox was double teamed and had to give the ball up. You know, on the possession to Barnes.
I think they wanted to give the ball up too because of his hand. You know what I mean? Like they knew that was going to happen, and it was a good play set up for, you know, Barnes in the corner.
Yeah, you'll take it. I heard. I don't remember who it was. Maybe they were, I don't know if I was on the radio or in the broadcast, but, you know, you had a similar, in game 1 where you had, oh gosh, why is it escaping me? Andrew Wiggins.
Oh, right.
More wide open than Harrison Barnes was. I mean, he was wide open in the corner for a 3 that would have tied it. And he missed it. I mean, that right there, you know, so the comparisons, if you will,
1 for 1 there, if you will, if that's what you're trying to drive back.
There's that. And, you know, there is, you know, here are not your A1 options. And, you know, Golden State gets 1 and misses, and Sacramento gets 1 and misses. And so you move on. But this has been a tremendous series, Mike. No doubt the Warriors come back last night, you know, with another great performance, and, you know, end up winning, you know, in Sacramento, which is hilarious because, you know, the Warriors
didn't win on the road all year.
Won 11 games on the road all year.
Right.
But you look at this series and they really just needed to win 1 game on the road. And, you know, here they have done that.
It was. So do you think the Warriors go home and we end up back in Sacramento? Because it goes 1-1-1.
Yep. Yeah. So it'd be Golden State tomorrow and then in Sacramento on Sunday.
What's your prediction for this series, buddy?
I'm hard pressed to root against the Warriors, but these games have all been so close. It certainly could go either way. Right. My gut says the Warriors win tomorrow night. Now, what I find to be so interesting, Mike, and I could go on and on and on and on and on about the times of the games and everything else. So I woke up this morning thinking, okay, you got 2 West Coast games tomorrow. What are they doing with them? And
what are they doing with them, Dave?
Sacramento Golden State is 8:00 Eastern time. That's 5:00 local time.
Yeah.
So that they can get the Lakers Memphis game in 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 local time. So the NBA can do whatever they want with the times of the games.
Right.
This just in. It's very clear that they choose to screw the fans that are watching at home. I don't think there's any 2 ways around that. But this is a really strange, this is an odd scenario to only have two games going on and having them both be on the West Coast. I can't remember a time when that's happened. I'm sure it has.
Yeah, it must have, just by numbers and statistics.
But yeah, so it'll be very, very interesting to see
Sure.
the Friday games, both with a chance. And if these teams win, you could have a Lakers Golden State conference semifinals.
Which would be awesome, awesome, awesome. I
Oh,
think the other one, the Nuggets Suns, is going to be a battle. I don't think we need to talk much about the Nuggets taking out the T-Wolves or
no.
Suns taking out the toothless Clippers again. The Clippers are toothless. Um, but I think there's going to be a battle, but it's going to be on the back burner of the 4 series, potentially Boston,
Yeah.
Philly, and then Heat, Knicks in the East, and then
Yeah,
Lakers,
Lakers, Golden State.
Warriors.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely one that can take a back seat.
But quite honestly, whoever wins that series, I think, is going to have a good chance to win it all, because whoever
Mhm.
comes out of the East is going to be beat up at best, certainly exhausted. And also, the Warriors Clippers are not young. Their superstars aren't young, and they're going to have a battle. Or not Clippers,
The
Warriors,
Lakers. Yeah.
yeah, are not young, and they're going to have a battle. So the Suns, Nuggets. Well, I do think it'll be interesting. Definitely a matchup of styles that are complete opposite.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. It probably will get the less shine out of the 4 of them, unless they have crazy finishes or fights or something.
Which,
like
entirely
Which
possible.
you never know
I
in
mean,
the NBA.
yeah, you're going to, you're looking at a healthy Jamal Murray for the first time in 3 years. And he's shown how great he can be,
Right.
Against kind of ageless Chris Paul. And then, you've got this Durant and Jokic and Booker dynamic, lots of stars, guys that are going to go head to head. DeAndre Ayton against Jokic a lot.
Michael Porter Jr. is going to be on Durant a lot.
Right. So there's some tremendous matchups, but I agree with you, Mike, based on the 4 potential series, that one could be one that kind of is, like you said, on the back burner, but there's some tremendous storylines in that series too.
Sure, absolutely.
No doubt,
so anything else in the West or anybody else in the NBA you want to talk about? There's really nothing going on off the court, kind of a dead portion for that. The NBA wants to keep the focus on the games on the court, rightfully so.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on that.
Again, it's been great. The playoffs have been great. There have been some great games, some great performances. Certainly Jimmy Butler has established himself, like you said early on, as one of the great playoff performers of all time. Just tremendous. And then some tremendous games overall.
And just the potential for great games going forward. How great would it be? And I don't want to throw this out into the ether too early, but Lakers Celtics final, or
even Celtics Knicks conference final,
Heat Suns with all the subplots, and there's just a lot of really compelling matchups. So
if you get those 4 series,
Philly and Denver, of course, because that's the way they usually goes. Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
I mean, they'd be great. It'd be great. But again, I think there's like you said, there's so many storylines that could just be tremendous. Yeah, I mean, another Lakers Celtics matchup. We're getting ahead of ourselves, obviously, a little bit. Yeah. These teams have to win these games, but they're in a good spot. The Lakers and Celtics obviously both up 3-2 in their series. So from a fan's perspective, Mike is hoping for a big Celtics win tonight. I'm hoping for a big Lakers win tomorrow, so they can move on into the next round. It's just great. It's great stuff. There's no 2 ways around it.
Wonderful. So we'll obviously keep our eagle eyes on the games and the goings on around the league. Talk to all of our insiders and our resources too, to bring you the best possible podcast here at Think Tank Sports. Check us out, as we do have our NFL draft recap coming out next Monday. We'll do that, and continue to follow our Yankee coverage. and Major League Baseball. We're having a great time with that. Another fun season underway. But these NBA playoffs are going to be so much fun, folks. Dialed in at Think Tank Sports on the internet, Facebook, Twitter, and Insta. Listen to us wherever you can get your podcast delivery systems at Think Tank Sports, where we think and you listen as we strive for 5.